There are words that wound, words that break, words that echo in the back of your mind for years. But sometimes, if we're lucky, we stumble upon a few words that do the opposite. Words that feel like a warm blanket in the cold. Words that sit quietly beside our pain and say, "I'm here." Words that don't demand that we change or hurry or prove anything. They just heal. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And maybe that's what the healing journey really is. Not chasing something new, but gently turning toward the parts of ourselves we once ran from. The child inside who still whispers in the dark, hoping someone will listen. Today I want to speak to that child with 5 simple words, not complicated, not academic, just real quiet words. Words that Jung's teachings help us understand on a soul level. Let's begin. Your inner child has been waiting for these words their entire life. Onward thinkers, my name is Mr. Halvig, and you're watching The Rational Wise. When I see you, there's a kind of pain that doesn't show up on the surface. It hides in the corners of your smile. It echoes in the pauses between your sentences. It's the pain of not being seen. Maybe you remember what that felt like. Sitting at a dinner table where no one asked how you were really doing. Walking through a school hallway, quietly hoping someone would notice that you were struggling. Or maybe it wasn't even about sadness. Maybe you were happy, excited, proud, and you looked around and realized no one noticed. No one mirrored that joy back to you. And so you began to dim it little by little, piece by piece. Carl Jung believed that what we suppress doesn't vanish. It becomes the shadow. He said everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. What he meant was this: when we are not seen, not acknowledged, we begin to tuck those unseen parts of ourselves into the darkness. Not because we're ashamed, but because we've learned it's safer that way. So what does that mean for your inner child? It means there might be a part of you still very alive that's hiding. Not because it wants to, but because once upon a time it had no choice. Maybe you were told you were too sensitive, so you learned to numb your feelings, or too dramatic, so you stopped expressing your truth. Maybe you were simply ignored. No words, no wounds, just the quiet ache of being invisible. And now, even as an adult, you might feel that ache. It shows up when you're in a room full of people and still feel alone. It shows up when you accomplish something big and no one claps. It shows up when you look in the mirror and don't quite recognize the person staring back at you because the real you has been hiding for so long. Here's something that matters deeply. Being witnessed is not the same as being watched. Being witnessed means someone looks at you and actually sees you. They see past the performance, past the mask. They see the tremble in your voice, the story in your silence. They see your soul. And you know what? You can be that witness for yourself. Jung encouraged a practice called active imagination, where you hold a dialogue between the conscious self and the unconscious. You can sit in silence, close your eyes, and imagine your younger self walking into the room. What do they look like? How old are they? Are they hesitant, scared, hopeful? Now, without rushing to change anything, just sit with them. Don't fix, don't parent, just see them. Let your presence say what maybe no one ever said. I see you. You matter. You never had to earn it. You can also try mirror work. It may feel strange at first, but it's powerful. Stand in front of a mirror. Look into your own eyes and say it out loud. I see you. It's not about vanity, it's about visibility. Speak to the younger version of you who always wanted someone to say those words. Speak to the one who waited in the shadows for someone, anyone, to notice they were hurting. Write a letter to your inner child, not to give advice, just to listen. Ask them, what do you want me to know? And then let them speak. Maybe they'll tell you about the time they felt alone on the playground, or the night they cried into their pillow pretending they weren't. Maybe they'll remind you of a memory you forgot because it hurt too much to carry. But now you're ready. You're strong enough to listen, gentle enough to witness. And that's how healing begins. Jung said, "The greatest tragedy of the family is the unlived lives of the parents." And so often that tragedy is passed down. Children become adults who never learned how to be seen because their parents never were either. But here's the beautiful truth. You can break that cycle right here, right now. You can become the witness you never had. You can turn toward the forgotten parts of yourself with soft eyes and say, "I see you. I haven't forgotten. I've just been busy surviving, but I'm here now. I'm listening." And that child hidden in the shadows for years might just step into the light. Not to perform, not to please, but to be. And sometimes that is the most healing thing in the world. The child within you is still waiting to be seen. 2. You belong here. There is a deep pain that comes from feeling like you don't belong. And the thing is, it doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just hums beneath your daily life. That sense of being different, of being outside the circle, of always watching, but never quite stepping in. Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole. And part of that process means reclaiming the parts of ourselves we thought we had to leave behind to fit in. You weren't born feeling like you didn't belong. That was learned. It was absorbed in rooms where your voice was too quiet to matter or too loud to be welcomed. In families or schools where who you were didn't quite match what was expected. But the truth, you belong. Not when you change yourself, but when you return to yourself. Sometimes healing means walking back into the places you abandoned within yourself. Saying you too are part of me, the scared part, the awkward part, the angry part, the joyful, strange, curious, beautiful part. There is a practice I love sitting in silence and placing your hand over your heart. Not to say anything, just to feel the rhythm that says, "I'm here. I belong in this body, in this moment, in this world." Jung believed that the self is not only the center, but also the whole circumference which embraces both conscious and unconscious. It is the center of this totality, just as the ego is the center of consciousness. You were never supposed to be just one version of yourself to be accepted. You are all of it, and all of you belongs here. If you're enjoying the content, don't forget to hit the like button. It helps more than you think. Now let's continue. Safety isn't a destination, it's a practice. 3. You are safe. There's a part of you that's still holding its breath, still waiting for the next outburst, the next betrayal, the next shoe to drop. And maybe you don't even realize it because you've learned to live this way. Bracing, guarded, alert, smiling on the outside, but inside always on edge. Like you're tiptoeing through life, afraid of waking something that might hurt you. This is what happens when your nervous system never learned what safety felt like. And I want to pause here because this isn't just about the big traumas. It's about the small ones too, the quiet ones, the ones that never made headlines in your life but left scars anyway. Like being scolded for crying, or punished for needing comfort, or made to feel weak for showing fear. Maybe you were told to toughen up. Maybe you learned early that emotions made you too much. Carl Jung once said, "Neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering." In other words, the mind will create defense mechanisms when the heart is not allowed to grieve. If you couldn't feel safe enough to be vulnerable, your psyche did what it had to do. It built armor. It hid your softness. It shut down the voice of your inner child and said, "We don't have time to feel. We have to survive." And maybe you did survive. You became strong. You became smart. You became independent. But if you're honest, somewhere along the way, you stopped feeling safe in your own skin. You might notice it in your relationships, that constant fear of abandonment, that sense that something bad is always just around the corner, or that hesitation to really let someone in because the closer they get, the more power they have to hurt you. Or maybe it shows up in quieter ways. The tension in your shoulders that never goes away, the insomnia that keeps you up at night, the anxiety you can't quite explain. That's your inner child whispering, "I still don't feel safe." So how do we begin to restore that sense of safety? The first step is simple but not easy: presence. You cannot feel safe in a moment you're not actually in if your mind is still in the past, replaying what went wrong, or in the future, bracing for what might. Your body has no anchor, no now, and healing only happens in the now. Start small, put your hand on your heart, feel it beat. Remind yourself right now, in this very moment, I am safe. Not forever, not later, just now. And sometimes that's enough. Jung's technique of active imagination can help here too. Imagine your inner child standing in front of you, scared, anxious, unsure. What would you say to them? Not to fix them, but to soothe them. Say, "I know you're scared, but I'm not leaving you. You're safe with me now." This is what they needed to hear back then. You can be the one who finally shows up. Create a self-soothing ritual your body can trust, like a warm bath or a cup of tea. It may seem simple, but repetition builds a rhythm of safety, like a heartbeat. Grounding techniques are also powerful. Anchor yourself in the physical because your body remembers what your mind forgets, carrying the memory of fear. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life." The fear in your system isn't fate, it's a memory that can be met with love. Tell your inner child, "You are not in danger anymore. I've got you now." You're not gaslighting yourself. You're speaking to the part of you that still expects pain. I know trust is hard, but healing doesn't ask you to leap, just to lean gently. Imagine a scared child under a table. You don't scream, you kneel down, speak softly and say, "It's okay now, you're safe." You wait. Maybe they won't trust you at first, but keep showing up and saying it. One day that child may finally believe you. You don't have to fight for peace. You can soothe your way there. One soft word, one deep breath, one moment of safety at a time, until your inner child no longer lives in fear. That is the beginning of homecoming. 4. You are enough. It's exhausting, isn't it? The constant striving, the need to prove, to earn, to be good enough, to be loved. Many of us grew up believing love had terms, that we had to be perfect, quiet, helpful, never too much. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But how can you become that if you spent your life trying to become what others needed you to be? The persona, what Jung called our social mask, can be helpful. We all wear one. But when that mask becomes a prison, when it hides the child inside who just wants to be loved as they are, that's when we suffer. The truth is, you are enough. Not because you've earned it, not because of what you've achieved, but because you exist. Your inner child didn't need to be more. They needed to be loved, seen, held, and so do you. Try speaking these words every day. I am enough. Even when I feel broken, even when I'm tired, even when I'm not achieving, I am still enough. Write a letter from your inner child to your adult self. Let them tell you what they wish you believed. You are not broken. You are tired of performing. Let yourself rest. Forgiveness is setting yourself free from a prison you never deserved to be in. 5. I forgive you. There are some wounds that never got the apology they deserved. Some moments you replay, not because you want to, but because they've never really let go of you, like echoes of a childhood that should have been soft, but instead left you hardened, silent, aching. You grow up, but part of you stays frozen, holding the memory, holding the pain, holding the questions you never got to ask. Why didn't you protect me? Why didn't you love me the way I needed? Why did you make me feel like I wasn't enough? And maybe no one ever answered. Carl Jung said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parents." Often what hurt you wasn't even really about you. It was about the unresolved wounds your caregivers carried, the traumas they never faced, the patterns they passed on, not out of cruelty, but out of unconsciousness. And yet that doesn't erase what it did to you. Your inner child may still be carrying anger, grief, even guilt because children blame themselves when adults fail them. That's what kids do. They personalize everything. If a parent yells, it must be because I did something wrong. If love was withheld, it must be because I didn't earn it. And if abuse happened, it must be because I deserved it. But you didn't. You didn't deserve any of it. Still, that wounded voice inside of you might whisper otherwise. That's why forgiveness isn't about excusing the past. It's about releasing its grip on your present. It's not about saying what happened was okay. It's about deciding, I will not carry this pain anymore, because it was never yours to carry in the first place. Jung spoke often about the importance of integrating pain, bringing the shadow to light. He didn't see forgiveness as passive. He saw it as transformational, a process of reclaiming the parts of yourself that were buried under resentment, shame, and grief. Forgiveness is an act of alchemy. It turns pain into presence. So where do we begin? Maybe it starts with a letter, not to send, just to say. A letter to the parent who couldn't show up, the teacher who humiliated you, the friend who abandoned you, or even to yourself. Write everything, the rage, the disappointment, the heartbreak. Don't filter it. Don't make it polite. Say the things you were never allowed to say. And when the letter is done, say these words softly but firmly. I forgive you, not for your sake, but for mine, so I can finally be free. Forgiveness doesn't mean reunion. It doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means letting go of the hope that the past could be any different. It means choosing peace over punishment. It means telling your inner child, you never needed to carry this blame. I'm sorry you had to, but I'm here now, and I'm ready to let it go. Visualize yourself holding your younger self in your arms. Maybe they're crying. Maybe they're angry. Maybe they don't trust you yet. That's okay. Hold them anyway. Whisper, I'm sorry. I see how hard it's been. You did nothing wrong. I forgive you for blaming yourself. You were just trying to survive. Because sometimes the one we most need to forgive is ourselves. For the years we spent locked in shame, for the times we stayed silent when we should have spoken, for the way we internalized the lies of others. Forgive the child in you who tried to be perfect to avoid being punished. Forgive the teen in you who acted out because they didn't know how to ask for love. Forgive the adult in you who keeps repeating patterns not because they want to, but because they've never known another way. Jung said, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become. And this is the choosing. To stop carrying pain that never belonged to you. To end the cycle that turned your heart into a battleground. To look at your past not with bitterness, but with eyes that say you no longer have power over me. Forgiveness is a quiet revolution. It doesn't come all at once. It may visit in waves. Some days you'll feel free. Other days the old ache returns. That's normal. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. But each time you meet the pain with compassion instead of resistance, you rewrite the story. And the story becomes softer. It becomes yours. You don't forgive because they deserve it. You forgive because you deserve to live without the weight. You forgive because your inner child deserves laughter, lightness, peace. You forgive because the future you're stepping into cannot be built on resentment. Letting go isn't forgetting. It's remembering differently. It's remembering that despite it all, you're still here, still whole, still worthy, still capable of giving yourself the love you never received. And that is the ultimate healing. These 5 words, I see you. You belong here. You are safe. You are enough. I forgive you. They are simple, yes, but they are sacred. They are the balm that your inner child has been waiting to feel, not just hear. Carl Jung believed that wholeness was not found in becoming someone new, but in remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. So return gently, not in a rush, but with grace, with love, one word at a time. Because the child within you is still listening. We've spoken about healing your inner child by becoming the protector and parent you always needed. This is a journey of turning toward the parts of yourself you once ran from. But what if the key to this healing lies in a secret language you've ignored your entire life? In our next video, we'll reveal Carl Jung's prohibited theory of dreams, a controversial idea that your dreams are a secret intelligence actively shaping your reality. After that, we'll dive into his most terrifying insight, the shadow and how the parts of ourselves we deny hold the very answers we've been searching for. Let me know what you think in the comments. I read every single one. And of course, subscribe for more high-value content. Onward, thinkers.